Star copies all. Go ahead. Message to observer. Alpha 3 rounds. AT delay in effect. 3 guns. Bravo 2 rounds. 2 guns. Smoke on effect.
Okay. Well, hello, y'all. How's it going? And it's Andrew with the Options Millionaire educational series. And this one, everyone's been asking for something a little like this. And it's got my morning routine. Everyone asks, hey, what do you do for the morning? Like when you wake up, when you sit down, when the market opens, what do you do for your morning routine? How do you find those spot-on levels that you always post? What do you get for news? How do you know stuff so far in advance? Well, because I live with intentionality. Shameless plug for my Making Millionaires podcast on the Patreon. Go over and check that out if you want a good podcast on how to live your life with intentionality and learn a few lessons that I've learned along the way. Go take a look. But yeah, it's because I wake up and I have a purpose. I don't want to sit down and just sit here and stare at my computer or go lollygag around until 9:30 and the market opens and finally I jump in and guess what's going on. No, you have to sharpen that axe. When you wake up, you set a plan and you sharpen that axe. And this is the axe that I'm sharpening today. And I'm going to show you a little bit of how I do it. So the first thing I do, I set my computer up. I open up my trading view. I open up my web browser here and I start looking through news. So the first thing I'm monitoring right now is I've got the futures open right now, which you can see. And this is October 7th, 2021. It's currently 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. You can see the futures have now ranged about 100 points. And I'm going to do this live. So this is going to be the actual levels and actual pre-market analysis I do for today. So you can get to see this. So yeah, here, 43.94 are the futures right now. We've ranged over 100 points since yesterday's lows. So what I'm doing now is going through my web browser, and I'm going to check all the news. And the first thing I've got is Bloomberg News. Here we go right here. So what am I seeing? Initial jobless claims just fell more than expected last week. So that's news right now. That's probably the biggest piece of news that we have this morning. I'm also looking through everything else. So I'm closing on the deal to pull back U.S. Bank from default. So that's probably the biggest piece of news that's going to drive the bullishness from yesterday afternoon until today. It might push us past 440 on SPY. We're currently sitting at 437 on pre-market. So that's the biggest one I'm looking for. And then I'm just looking around for any kind of more breaking news. I see Pfizer's going to do another shot for the kids 5 through 11 or another approval there, which is not really going to move too much, if not anything at all. Futures now, debt wars ease. All right, so they entered the debt's going to be the big thing today, and that's pretty much going to overshadow anything you can put out today. Is the debt ceiling is going to be ramified today. So, and then I'm looking over here, and I've got CNBC as another one I use there, and this is a good article, just a good summary of 5 things to know before the market opens, which is stuff we've already know. This is stuff for like the retail trader, but this is stuff we already know. And there's a deal. The Dow's set to jump optimism build for debt ceiling. We already know the Dow rose over 300 points and everything is covered up here, but I just use this for breaking news. I don't want the retail. I don't want the retail news articles, because usually the retail news articles that people consume, the move has already been made. The data is already priced in when you read that. So all I'm looking for is anything breaking that I need to know why things are moving. And all stuff bond yields, I already do that because I track bonds down here, TNX, no big deal. McConnell wants to give them whatever, blah, 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 blah. Biden to cut vaccine, blah, blah, more vaccine mandates. And then Soros, I don't care about George Soros. He's old. So yeah, that's a little bit of an example of the news articles I look. And then I actually start going through Twitter. And I go through all the different Twitter accounts that I trust. Hey, big green candle there. Nice, 43.98. I go through all the big Twitter people that I follow to see if there's any breaking news. Twitter's good. If you find some good reputable sources on Twitter, you can find some. It's a good resource for breaking news because people usually post breaking news links pretty quick. So it's nice to check up on that and actually see, just to follow people there and see what's going on there. So, alrighty. What next? All right. So after I do that, I start digging into the actual markets, and I come here and I go to the futures. And I'm looking around. All right. So we got this big green candle here. I see there's definitely a resistance point right up here at 43.97. Excuse me, coffee break. Yeah, so I'm looking at the NASDAQ here. I see the NASDAQ ranged as well. They're a little more weak than the futures. They gave, 4,914. They gave about 40 points back here, and they're trying to recuperate that. The biggest point for me, personally, is volatility. Even with this big, SPY is up $12. $12 from yesterday's lows, and yet VIX still cannot break under 20. It still cannot break under 20. So the VIX right here, we spiked up over 24. So I'm watching the VIX now. We're down to $20 or 20 points right now, and it still can't break that. I'm not becoming long-term bullish. My thesis is still a red October. I'm not being now. I will change my thesis as long as the market supports this. But right now, the volatility is still over 20. If we break under 20 today with confidence and continue to fall, then I will flip my thesis to a bull thesis, and I will start looking more into swinging long-term calls. But right now, the VIX is still holding over 20. We all know what volatility in the market means. That means the market's pricing in a downward move. When volatility is very high and sky high, the market is still anticipating a downward move. That's why implied volatility with the options chain is so high, and that's why the VIX is still maintaining high. We are down at 20 now. It appears we are leveling out here. Today will be a determining day to figure out whether or not this VIX is going to fall, and then I'm going to start becoming heavily bullish on SPY in the next week or so. We'll see about that. Qs right now is 363.95 here, SPY. I'm looking at all the other things here. XLK is moving up here, and I just want to give a good flash here of all the different X's, and these are their top 11 I'm looking at here. I just want to give a good oomph here. All right, that's good there. The top 8, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all pretty much doing the same thing. Popped up, but trading flat in pre-market. All right, so then I've got SPY right here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is flip out to the 1-year chart. And I'm going to delete these. These are my levels from yesterday. Pop. Excuse me. All right, here we go. All right, so those are deleted. Now I'm going to start forming my levels based on where I think the supports and resistances are going to go. All right, so here we are on the 1-year chart. So I know we've got a big heavy resistance down here in the 427 area, and I'm going to refine that as well. But we are way up here at 439.26, and I'm going to start focusing on what do we have from here, especially if we continue to be bullish, because although on the 5th, which was Tuesday, we did not have a supported bull move, and in fact, it actually confirmed that thesis on yesterday morning when we had that big downside. But then the bulls did step in. We had this big increase in buying volume here, and we had this big candle that closed much higher and had a big buying volume that supported that move. Is actually one of the bigger buying candles that we've had, except for this one, in a long time. So that was definitely the bulls did step in, defended that level, and that makes me think that we're going to continue on higher, and this potentially could be the bounce, at least from a temporary bounce, for the month, and we'll see what happens there. But that's a nice healthy bear move. If this was the end of the bearish movement, I'd be very happy with this action, because we brought this all the way down from 454 all the way down to 426. That's a $30 move. I'm happy with that move. So anyway, let's go in and let's start digging into the pre-market levels right now. We're currently sitting at 434.94, and I like to form the supports first and then go to the resistance. That's just the way my brain works. It doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start looking at the volume profile nodes on the 1-year chart, and then I'm going to look at all the price action that reflects the particular node. So right here, we're at 439.26, and then right now, this top of the volume node, I'm going to start looking here. And you have to think about it. You don't want to calculate a support just right in the middle. You want to think about the volume starts here. So you want to start looking for a level that's somewhere between the highest point of the node and then the top of the volume node there. And as we come down, the price is going to start being manipulated as we enter this big distribution of volume. So at 439.26, if the price were to come down, let's say 438, somewhere in here, I'm looking in the past, I see a lot of bounces in this area, and I really want to refine this data. 436 is a little too low because we want to have something a little higher. But right now, I've got a bounce here. I've got some wick ups here. So I see that there's a big buying distribution right here. There's a propensity for the price to hover right in this area at this 438.80. You see this one bounced here, the wick out here, and then it almost came up to right here. And then that's also where the volume node starts right there. So I'm going to form this as my first level, and I'm going to call that 438.66 right there, because that's the bottom of the node. And that's where all these prices like to bounce. So I see there's a big distribution right here of volume where the price potentially likes to pivot. So I'm going to call that one 438.66. All right, so let's go on up here. After the second one there, that's 430. That's going to be my first support. So now let's go a little lower. So down here, we start hitting the lower side of things. There's not much volume right here. You see the volume node is gone. And then we've already accounted for all the bounces here at that level. So that's disregarded. So now come down here, 430.75. So let's look at the price action. 437.18 could be a decent one because we've got this volume node right here that shoots out. And then I'm looking out to the west. I see this one almost reflects there, and coming over further, This one bounces, and I have a distribution of volume here where the price continues to reject right there. So I like this level right there. So I've got these candles here, and then this candle here, right at this 437.99, 437.85 level. So I'm going to call it right there. 437.85 is tips of all those things plus the volume node. I really like that one. And that's going to put us about $1 below where we had the other one roughly. So 437.92 is what I'm going to call that one. All right, so let's go down a little bit more. Let's try to find one that's a really strong one so we can give it kind of like a no further than if the price were to start falling. So coming down here to this node, I'm going to drop a little bit 436 area, and I want to see if there's any correlation between prices here. This is almost a good one there, right there. 437, a lot of wick ups there, 435, 436. So right there is up to 438 level. Let me come down right here. I think this is a decent one right here, somewhere in this range. As I'm going to start refining down somewhere in this range. So we've got a wick out here, which is a close one. So I want to pay a good amount of attention to that one because that is a good level right there because we have a close wick right here. We have a wick right here. We have a couple of candles right here that are respecting this level and then bouncing off of it. So I'm going to form this one right here, which is also going to use yesterday's highs, 435.09, because of the other prior candles that are adjusting right on top of that. So let's do, let's refine that just a touch based on the prior candles. And let's go right here, 435.36. All right, now we've got our supports drawn. Let's go over and let's form our resistance. All right, so the first thing I want to do here is I want to flip back and forth between the 6 month here and just kind of see if it correlates or all this stuff here. So we've got a POC at 434.15. Now we're in this 439 range on the 6 month chart. So I'm on the 6 month chart now, and there's not a lot of distribution here on the 6 month because we didn't spend a lot of time here. That's the thing. So you see here, we crept up here, we came down here, and every time in the span, we blow right through it. Here, we blow down to the downside, we blow up through it. So there's not a lot of time spent right here in the distribution. So I want to really focus on, so I'm not going to use the 6 month here because there's not a lot of levels on which it's giving me data. So I'm going to go to the 3 month here and see if there's anything. We're up here at the 439 range. I'm on the 3 month chart now, and I do start to see a little volume coming into play here, and I see a good resistance point at this 441 area. Now I want to see, does that respect this level? And at the 441, no, I'm not going to use 441 because that's the start of this node here, and I don't see much here that's going to tell me that it's going to respect that level. So I'm going to come up a little bit. Now I have right here a lot of consolidation here at this 443 level. Now that's a little higher than I want to go. I want to try to find a resistance below that, but I am going to note that. Now I'm going to go back out to the 1 year and see if I can find some corresponding data to that 444 level and come down here. So 439.21. I'm going to come in a little bit closer, All right, so refine this data a little bit. I have a consolidation period right here at this 439.45, which just happens to correspond to this volume node, which is good. And then we've got a bounce here. We've got some wicks that respected that level, and we got this wick so right here. So I think my first node is going to be right here at I'm going to use that one as well, 439.75, because we've got all these wicks are respected. This one here, and this one here as well. That I like it, not to mention this candle. So that's a great one, 439.75 for my upward resistance. All right, so we're currently at 439.22, so that's a pretty close resistance. So I want to make sure I continue to come on up there. So 439.75. Moving on up. Right here, we've got this 441.91. Now let's see if we could find one from there, dial that in. There's not too much. As the further we go up here, we see we didn't consolidate much. We kind of went blew past and then blew down. So there's not too much here in terms of consolidation. So we have to really refine the data so we give us a good intentional resistance up here so we can use that. All right, so 440, 442, 441. Right here, we have some wick outs here on some lower volume days that were not easy to trade. I remember that was back in August. So let's do 442.81. Seems to be a decent one. We've got a volume node here. We got a couple of wick outs there and then almost there. And then this candle here wicked out at the 442 area. So I do like that. I'm going to go with 442.96 right there, 442.81. That's going to be a decent one. All right, let's just do a 442.81. Now, I would like to kind of get one in between there because that's like a $3 difference there. So I do want to see if I could find one maybe in the 441 area, but I don't want to put one in there just for quarter. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. This area right here, right before the volume node starts to form, we do have this little volume start to come out here at the 441.69, and we see in this area that this candle respects this level there. This candle bounce off of it right there. This candle, this candle, this candle, this candle. So I'm going to use this one here and note that level right there at 440.102. Now this level starts to form right there, so it is a lower end of the volume, but the price does like to congregate around this level. So I'm going to reflect that on there, this 441.09, just because I had a lot of prices that like to top out right there. Look at this. This entire range topped out right here at the 441.09 area. So I'm going to note that as well. All right, and I'm going to do one way higher just in case we get a huge bull run that we'll be prepared for it. We're currently at 439, so let's just try to shoot for like a $4 move up here. So right here, I'm going to use this one right here. So we have this jot out here of the volume node, and then here, 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 all these candles start to manipulate that one as well. 445.04 right in this range. So we have this one, this one, this one, this one, and then these candles here congregate right around this 445 level. So I'm going to formulate that right there at 445.04.
All right, now that we've formed all the supports and resistance, I went ahead and plotted them for you. What you see here, all the green lines are the resistance, all the red lines are support. And then I'm going to come back here after the market is closed, and we're going to see how those supports and resistances held up. Let's take a look. All right, the market is now closed. It is actually 4:45 in the evening, my time. Things worked fantastic. Another fantastic day that these levels continue to churn out profits because of the predictability of them, and they're just an amazing, amazing tool. And granted, there's about 10 years of an experience here, but they're a fantastic tool that you need to learn, because let's take a look at what happened. The first support here, which is R1, the candles came up, blew past, came down, and then right at R1, we bounced right off of it here. I actually took a call here. A lot of people in the room made about 40% profit off here because you took a call off this bounce, came up, and then R2, which was 441.05. Look at this thing perfectly. All the money all day long. It just went sideways right at our support or our resistance. And then finally it failed because the buyers failed to bring this thing up. The sellers took in, brought it back down. And look, congregated and bounced off of the support again, came up, fell back down finally, and then respected our first support here at the bottom here. Congregated right around there. So yet another day of resistance, and just shows you how important it is to form these supports and resistances. You can learn these, and you can learn how to make money based on their pivots.
Anyway, that's all I got for you. A nice little video on how I do my pre-market routine, a little setup for success there, a high-level view, so you can kind of get an idea on how I form these resistance that make me a lot of money, and hopefully you can learn how to do this and make you a lot of money. Because learning this part of things is way more important than actually following me or anyone else's trades for that matter, because this system will allow you to make your own decisions and form your own setups throughout the day and actually the next decade, because this is what I've been doing for a long time. And this is as close to the crystal ball as you can get in terms of the trading world, is finding a way to develop resistance levels and support levels. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe to this channel. You get notifications for all educational content, as well as my live streams every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you haven't already yet, use that link in the description to come over and join the Discord, man. We got a lot of great resources, a lot of great content, and a community built around education, tossing around ideas, figuring out what each other knows, and really refining our skills and sharpening that axe. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Till next time, I appreciate you taking time to watch. I'm out of here. See you.